Howdy folks. Last night I just finished wiring up the last of the components and the wires in this HP 120B oscilloscope. So I believe I got everything wired up. I'm going to go do a double check and make sure. But while I still had the covers off and everything, I wanted to just go ahead and show everyone what the inside of this thing looks like and kind of what I already did. So this board right here I had to take off because there were several capacitors on here that needed replaced. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's 6 on there. And you can see there's, well, maybe you can't see, but that's that switching mechanism. Had all kind of wires and whatnot. So I had to basically completely dismantle that and just to get those capacitors. Here's a couple more capacitors right here that I had to take off. So basically, to get to all these things, there's another one. I had to dismantle this whole thing, and that was quite the chore. There's another one down here on the board, right here. While doing that, I cleaned everything up, and back here you see the can capacitors that I restuffed. That's these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So those are the the ones that I cut and put new capacitors inside, and you could tell. I mean, they still look original. You would never know unless you investigated it. Of course, no one really ever sees that anyhow once the covers are on, but I like to keep the look original on something like this. So I just put the CRT back in, and got everything cleaned up. All the knobs were taken off and completely cleaned. I took, there's like, I don't know, 20, maybe 20 pages of notes that I took while I was taking this apart. I'm really glad I took notes and pictures, because putting it back together is something else. So here's another thing I do when I take the nuts and bolts and everything else. I put them in these little cups, and I mark, what I'm working on. And that way, as I go in stages, put each stage in a separate cup, and as I'm putting it back together, I know exactly what bolts go where. And that's just to keep things in order so I don't get them lost. So right here, this is all the work that, all the capacitors I took out of here. So there's 2 capacitors in there. Some capacitors in there. And a couple in there. And then the can capacitors. And that's basically all that I did to this thing. I started checking resistors on here. And after I checked about 15 of them, and they were all spot on, I just decided that not to even bother with the rest of them, because there's so many of them in there. These old HPs use quality components and whatnot, so after I checked like 15 or so, and they all read perfect, I just thought that the rest of them will probably be good too. So I'm going to continue putting this thing back together here, and get the covers on, and I'm going to turn it on and start testing some voltages, do some calibrations, and hopefully everything turns out. I'll post another video later, hopefully tonight, after I get this all finished. It's been quite the task. Pretty pleased with it. I've never turned power on in this thing, so it's a big leap of faith. I don't have any idea if there's any issues at all with this thing. I just opened it up and started replacing caps. So we'll see. It's a big mystery. I've never plugged it in, never turned anything on. It's gonna be interesting. I got let's see, where is it? Here it is. I got a high voltage probe in the mail the other day so I could test the voltage on the CRT. I think the voltage on this one is 2500 volts, which is pretty low for a CRT, but I didn't have any meters or anything that would I got a lot of meters. I got a lot of test equipment, but nothing that could go that high. So that high voltage probe will go up to 30,000 volts DC. So I'll be good with that. Alright guys, I'll check in later, and hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and hopefully everything turns out good with this bad boy. Alright, thanks for watching.